morning, everyone. Today we're going to make some embeds. This is probably one of the most asked questions I get, and they seem really tedious, and they can be, but I think it's all it's a matter of how you fulfill the task of making them. So I like to work smarter, not harder. So I'm going to go over everything today. Now, the recipe I'm going to be using is from my friend Irene at Body BonBon, just because, and I actually really love it. So I'm going to kind of redo her recipe today, but I'm going to be doubling it and then adding a slight modification to it to get it to how I like my embeds to be. So basically you're going to need just some baking soda. This is 250 grams of baking soda, 250 grams of citric acid, 3 ml dropper of water, a little glass, pizza cutter, your dyes. You can use Lakes if you like. And just lay out a piece of parchment paper or whatever, and then just kind of smush everything down from there, but you'll see what I mean. And also a little scoop for your dye. So first things first, as I said, 3 ml dropper of water. I find that the water makes the embeds harder and last longer if you need to leave them exposed, you know, to the air or whatever, because all this stuff is, you know, water activated, so humidity can definitely affect your embeds. Now, as far as dye goes, the more dye you use, obviously, the more vibrant color you're gonna get, payoff-wise. So just use however much you want. Don't be afraid. This will be dispersed in a giant bath. So I'll start with there, and if we need to adjust, we can. Just kind of mix it up. I do it this way because I don't want little lumps in my baking soda. So kind of pre-dispersing the dye this way helps me out. And normally I would be working, let this sit while I'm working and getting all my stuff measured out, but that's fine. We're gonna, for sake of speed, I've already pre-measured everything out. And I'm gonna let this sit for a minute. All right, now that I've got my dye completely dispersed, we're gonna add it to our baking soda. And I like to get every little last bit out, so really make sure you're getting every bit of color out of there, because dye is pretty expensive. You want to make sure that you're maximizing your money. Alright, once you feel like you got everything you can, just kind of incorporate everything. Now, the better you mix here, the better the final product's going to be, because you're not going to end up with like vibrant streaks of concentrated like little dye chunks, I guess, in your embeds. So I like to take it and rub it together like this. You can see that color is really starting to come out now. You can also use a mixer for this, but I find you're going to get the, if you're rubbing your hands through and you're getting streaks like that, not really incorporated all the way, so you need to really get in there. One thing I forgot to mention is that we're going to add a little bit of oil. I prefer just using the oil from my my actual bath bombs, so it's not an extra ingredient I have to add. This is 3 mLs of oil. This happens to be rice bran oil, but you can use whatever you like. It's going to help everything bind together and give you a really nice, hard finished embed. I never used to use oil, but I really do think it makes a difference. Okay, so we're checking for streaks again. Looks pretty good, guys. And also, I like to add a little bit of SLSA. This part's completely optional. You don't have to do it, but I actually kind of like it because it helps the color carry across, you know, the top of the water. Give you that really nice like bath art effect. For this recipe I would use about 10 grams. You can use more, use less, or none at all. And then we're going to add our citric. Again, 250 grams. And I like to have a little bit of alcohol on standby in case I need to get it to bind a little bit more. I prefer 70% because it has 30% water in it. So the key I find to working with embeds is let it mellow for a minute. After you get everything incorporated, just let it sit because it's going to get, I guess, more tacky. Is that the word? You'll find that it's, you know, if you try and just overload it with liquids, it's a very finicky recipe. So definitely start with less water, and then if you need to add more, you totally can. And it's all by feel. So like the more I'm mixing it, you can see it's starting to clump a little bit better. Bring it up closer so you can see. It's definitely got more of a, the more you work it through, it starts to bind a little bit better than it did before. Now to me this feels a little dry yet, so I'm gonna add like a spritz of this 70%. You can do water if you like, but water is kind of dangerous, if you ask me. Work that through. That seems like it's sticking pretty good, guys. If you get it too wet, just let it sit. Don't mold it because it's going to expand on you. Just let it sit for a minute. And then try and mold it. You'll, like I said, it's all about texture. So from here, what I would do is I dump my mix in my tray. If you don't have a tray or a cookie sheet or anything like that, you can just lay out a piece of parchment. I'm just super OCD and I like really neat, crisp, clean corners. But just smush everything down. Get it somewhat symmetrical here. You can use a, what are those? A rolling pin, if you like. You can just use your hands. And then once you get everything how you like it, you can either take a knife. To me, a pizza cutter is like the absolute best for embeds. You can use little molds if you like. To me, that just seems like a lot of work. I mean, you're not going to see these anyway. So this is my trick to working smarter, not harder. So you just take your little pizza cutter here, and then whatever size you want. Just cut your little embeds to size. Like so. And then if you really want these to dry pretty fast, and I think it actually helps them get harder too, turn on your oven just enough for it to get hot, and then turn it off, and then stick your tray of embeds in there, and that's going to really dry up you know, the water and the alcohol if you used it. But that's basically it, guys. Super easy. I have found these embeds are really great. I've left them out exposed in the air just to test, and they're doing great. So definitely recommend this recipe. Again, this is Irene's recipe from Body BonBon. I'm gonna put her link to the video below, but there you go, guys. That's how you make embeds.